Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I know that this is a bit delayed. I wanted to get this out earlier, but last week was challenging to say the least. And then, of course, my birthday came up yesterday. So I apologize for being late, but as they say, sometimes it's better late than never. So I figured I'll just push this out. So on my job, they gave us, we have something called CARE. It's sort of a supplement informational insurance platform for us. However, I figured, you know what, these resources are not just for people who are subscribed to them, but it's for everybody. So I said, let me share this out. All right. So, as many of you know, Hurricane Milton touched down on Florida. Um, and I believe some other states, or no, the other states had Hurricane Helene. So I just wanted to go over with you guys where you can get some help. Okay. First, you have the Red Cross. They actually can help when it comes to locating shelter, food, water, and also they also help with reunification assistance, meaning like, let's say one family member was at work and another family member was at home, and they got separated somehow and they're unable to find one another. The Red Cross is there to assist. By the way, if you're a landlord, you can actually reach out to the Red Cross as well to let them know that, you know what, you have space available to, house people. So that is something that you guys might want to consider as well. Next, we have on the list is FEMA. FEMA primarily offers financial assistance to individuals and families after a disaster. So that's another place that you can contact. I know I've heard various, good and bad regarding FEMA, but it is an agency that you should contact. Next, you have the U.S. Department of Labor. They can provide financial assistance if your employment is impacted. Some of you may work for small businesses, excuse me, and because your small business is impacted, that's impacted your job, right? So you may need to look for another place to work, or you might need to collect unemployment. Next, you have the U.S. Small Business Administration. They offer disaster assistance to businesses, nonprofit organizations, homeowners, and renters. Okay, so reach out to them. Then you have crisis counseling. It's a helpline that basically offers emotional support, mental health support, right? You also have state assistance information lines. It's a call center to answer any Hurricane Milton related questions. You have the Florida Disaster Unemployment Assistance. Basically, you apply for disaster unemployment so that you have something to cover your living expenses. There's also a legal aid hotline, again, just in case, unfortunately, not everybody is understanding of this particular situation, and there are people that will try to take advantage. So it's good to also reach out to your legal aid helpline. You also have Feeding Tampa Bay. They offer food and support after a storm. You have Metropolitan Ministries, which is known to offer food, financial support, and more. But not just them. I mean, I know that there are churches out there, particularly of the Christian faith, maybe not all, but normally there's one or two, normally more than one or two, but there's got to be at least one or two that offer some sort of assistance. And I'm going to say this, if there's a church that doesn't, and it's a huge church, huge in size, both in building and the number of people, and they're not offering any help, then you should not go to that church anymore. Because where I live, I'm very close to a very tiny storefront church. And when we have no disasters, they are still giving people food. They are still giving people clothes. So when seeing this for how many years, because I've lived here in this location almost 25 years. And this church has consistently given out food and clothes. And it is tiny. It's not that big. So if a big church says that they can't help anybody, move on to the next one. Move on to the next one. I don't even believe, there's a chapter that says, everybody that says, Lord, Lord, I'm going to turn around and say, I don't even know you. And that's the church where I believe God will do that, because there's no excuse. I'm sorry. I'm not having it. And some of these churches collect a whole lot of money too. A whole lot of money. All right, let me move on. What else do we have here? You might want to also contact your local utility companies to see, first of all, you got to let them know that, if there's a power outage, and then whatever other assistance they may provide, discounts and what have you. By the way, on top of that, some of you are senior citizens and you're paying full price, and some of the utilities companies actually offer discounts to seniors. Please stop being prideful and tell them that you're over 65 so that you can get that discount. That's number one. But number two, you should not pay full price when you have no power. Like if a day goes by and you have no power, or 2 days or whatever, you really shouldn't pay full price. Normally, I'm up here, we don't have hurricanes like you guys do. And if a day goes by and there's something wrong with the power, I always call the utility company. Now, do they always let me, do they always deduct a certain amount because I have no power? No, they don't. But there have been occasions when they have. Now, what I was told is that, and this I do find to be true, is if you call and the person on the other line says no to you, that person is not normally the manager. They're normally a low-level worker. I hate to say it that way, but they are. So what you want to do is you can say to them, I want to speak with your manager. And if they give you any problems, hang up, call back, and you probably will get somebody else. And when you speak to that person, you can ask them if you can speak to the manager, or what discount or what is going on as far as me paying electrical costs when I have no electricity, when I have no power. It makes absolutely no sense. And I will go to a senator in a minute. No. Oh, no. Let's see what else. Yes, and then there's also here I see on this list a county by county emergency management resources that are available. By the way, I will be dropping the link at the end of the video. And then there are shelters, of course. And by the way, before this even came, as some of you may have seen, I did get a government contract. I have not bought property. They did tell me that Florida was the number one place, or one of the highest places rather, where there's a housing shortage. And if I were to buy property, because I have that government contract, whenever crisis like this happens, I could always put people, into the different apartments. Now, from what I have already, I don't have enough room. So I'm filled up. I cannot kick people out. But for those of you who are interested in real estate, and you might be saying to yourself, why should I get a government contract? This right here is why you should get a government contract, because the government would pay for these disaster relief people that are looking for a place to live right now. They are willing to pay you. And a lot of times when they get real desperate, they will pay you actually even more than what the rent that you would get if you were to rent to a regular person the regular way. Okay. Now, I will also say this to you. Typically, they're looking for furnished apartments, not completely furnished, just, like a bed, a chair, a couch, right? It's when it's like this kind of disaster relief is a little bit different from insurance. Typically when a person has suffered a disaster and they're using their insurance money to pay the rent, those people don't like an apartment that's fully furnished. They're okay with a bed, but they don't really like pots and pans and stuff like that. They typically, pots and pans seem like that's the first thing that they take. So they bring that with them. Okay. So the same thing. The thing is when it's the government, when you're going through the government, they don't mind that you have pots and pans, but just don't overdo it. Like I kind of overdid it with the pots and pans. Just one pot. That's it. Not 6. Leave me alone. Okay. Yeah. When I say I overdid it, I overdid it. Yeah. Don't do that. And then also when it comes to beds, okay, let's say for example, you have a building and it's 1 bedrooms. Instead of putting one queen size bed in, which is what I did, I think in hindsight, it would have been better if I put like 2 full-size beds that could be pushed together and make a queen. Because sometimes people are single, and the more beds you have in the apartment, the more people you can put in that apartment. But when you have a queen, you'll either get a single person or a couple, and you'll make less money. So that's why I said it might be better to put 2 full size. And then what if the people are roommates? See, if they're roommates, yes, sometimes they will sleep on the couch that opens up into a bed in the living room, but they're not going to get that privacy that they want. So again, in hindsight, I think it would have been better if I had 2 full-size beds as opposed to 1 queen-size bed. Now that I've switched over to, government contracting and housing people who are paying me through their insurance plan. It's not really the same as Airbnb. I mean, it's similar, but anyway, let me move on from that. I don't want to get too stuck. And then the last thing that I see here is that Uber is offering free rides to shelters and for evacuees. So that is really good to know. And that's what I really wanted to share with you guys. In case you are still struggling and you still need some sort of assistance. I do have other videos before regarding hurricanes and flooding, but this list was a little bit more specific, if you will, and it came from my job. So I said, well, let me get on here and try and share it just in case, someone still wanted it or needed it or whatever. Anyway, listen, feel free, definitely share this out, pass this amongst your friends, and family, and even enemies at this particular point, because you never know who needs this, right? You never know who is in dire straits, and this information will probably be a good benefit for them. Okay, so anyway, that's all I have for you. So Be blessed, stay safe, and have a good night.